How to achieve smooth player movement in 2 simple steps. Step 1. Download the JSON file. The link is in the description of this video. Step 2. Import the file into the Pulp editor, hit play, and enjoy smooth player movement. That's all in today's video. All jokes aside, I would like to explain how to actually achieve this result. It's a slightly more involved feature, so I thought it would make sense to create a sandbox example that you can play around with. In most cases, it's easy to tell that the game was made in Pulp by just looking at how the player moves. It's like the player is quickly teleporting from one place to the next. By utilizing a Pulp function called draw, which I've made a separate video about, we can create an effect where the movement becomes fluid. Be warned that this is a hack and it comes with a high price. I will tell you more about it at the end of the video. Now let me show you how to do it step by step. We start by creating a room, putting our default character in the corner, and locking him away with a couple of solid tiles. Then we create an alternative player tile, and I would like to draw it in the vertical and horizontal center of the screen. As you can see, the x-coordinate is 12 and the y-coordinate is 7. If I want to draw something, I need to go to the player script and then specify what and where I want to draw in the onDraw event handler. Let's check our result. Okay, so far so good. But we don't want to hardcode the position, so we need to add 2 new variables. I want to initialize them in the load event handler of the game script. I've got 2 variables now that determine what our destination is. Initially, I'm setting this to 12 and 7 as a starting position. And let's quickly swap our hard-coded values to those 2 variables. Okay, everything is correct. Now we want the fake player to update its position based on the D-pad inputs. We can do it using the onUpdate event handler in the player script. OnUpdate triggers every time you move in any direction, which is exactly the trigger that we need. In the body of the function, we also have access to a special variable called eventDX. This variable can have 3 values, 0, +1, or -1. +1 means that the player moved right, -1 that the player moved left. This value will update every time you hit a button on the D-pad. Now I wrote a simple if-else-if combo that changes our target X position. We're halfway there. Let's see what's happening so far. We draw the fake player using the draw function. The coordinates, or a starting position if you will, is predetermined in the game script. Moving left or right triggers the onUpdate handler, which then changes our fake player position X variable depending on the direction. The new value becomes the new coordinate for the draw function. And okay, now we can also do the same thing for the y-axis. It follows the same logic as for the x-axis, but we're using a variable called eventDy instead. So far, we've just recreated the same type of movement that we have for the default player. If I move to the right once, then my x-coordinate changes from 12 straight to 13. The thing is that I don't want to go immediately from 12 to 13 because that's like I'm teleporting and that's no different from what Pulp does by default. But here's the crucial part. In the draw function video, I told you that you can use numbers with decimals to draw a very precise location. And that's exactly what we're going to leverage here. First, I'm changing the delay for repeated inputs. Otherwise, the player will move a bit awkwardly, and you can comment this line out to see what I mean. Then I will add two variables that serve as our temporary position. And I've also had to add this if-else-if block of code in the draw handler, and here's what it does. Hitting right on the D-pad triggers the on update and changes the fake player target position X from, in this case, 12 to 13. The fake player X in progress, however, still remains at 12, so it's smaller than the target. If that is the case, I want to increment the number in fake player X in progress by just a little, for example 0.25 instead of 1. The draw event handler is like a loop. It gets called 20 times per second. So in my case, I need 4 iterations to go from 12 to 13 in increments of 0.25. The other if statements are for going left, up and down, and then there's the else where I just want the in progress position to be the same as the target position. And that's exactly what we achieved. In 4 frames, our character keeps moving right towards the target position, but it happens so fast that it looks fluid to our human eyes. Pulp is not made for this use case, so as you're moving, you will see fragments of your player tile left behind you. A quick and dirty solution is to have tiles with 2 frames that are exactly the same and have a full frame rate, which is 20 FPS. That way, you're still leaving a trail, but it's immediately replaced by a fresh frame. This is a very time-consuming and performance-unfriendly solution. By utilizing this technique, the fake player tile essentially becomes a ghost. You lose access to interact and bump events. Teleportation also doesn't work, and you can pass through solid tiles. Now, if you need any of those systems, you will need to code them yourself, which is not that difficult, but it will definitely pad out your development time. That's all in today's video. See you in the next one.